So with the permission of honorable judges, will the prosecution side, that is team 521, will start their arguments. Sir, you're on mute. So team 521, please start with your arguments.
The council seeks permission to refer the bench as Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Much obliged, Your Honor. The council seeks permission to present the facts of the case.
Please.
On 24th February, the officers of Special Cell of Delhi Police got a secret information regarding the two people traveling from Farakka Express, and they were carrying FICNs for some criminal activity in the country. On 25th February 2015, the police raided the earlier informed train on its arrival at Old Delhi railway station, where they found both the accused, that is Samir and Monu, carrying 250 notes of high quality fake currency notes of rupees 2000 denomination, having the face value equivalent to 5 lakhs individually. Hence, on the basis of this, they both were arrested. At the time of interrogation, they both revealed that they collected these FICNs from their associate, Kallu Mama, who was accused 3, and asked them to deliver it to Peter in Pulwama, Jammu and Kashmir, for the purpose of committing bomb blast on Indian Army convoy on 15th August. On the basis of this, the FIR was registered against both the accused by the police, and the seized FICNs were sent to CFSL for their expert opinion. And they opined that these notes are of high quality fake currency notes. On 30th April 2015, the investigation was taken over by the National Investigation Agency. At the time of examination in the custody of NIA, they both admitted their involvement and disclosed that Suhail was in touch with Lakshya-e-Taiba and used to instruct Kallu Mama, who is accused 3, and also disclosed that Kallu Mama received instructions with the team blast code, Dulhan ko sajane ka waqt aa gaya hai. And the analysis of these CDRs and the phone data which were seized by Samir and Monu, who were accused 1 and 2, clearly established their movement from Madhya Pradesh to West Bengal. And also the telephonic conversations between both of them, and also between Peter and Kallu Mama, which was done on 23rd February, proved that their association is with the criminal conspiracy. And the investigation has also clearly established that both Samir and Monu are in conspiracy with Kallu Mama, Peter, and Suhail, and they were closely associated as a gang, which were actively participated in criminal conspiracy for purchase, procurement, transportation, and financing of these high-quality fake notes of 10 lakh rupees. Therefore, for the commission of these offences, they were charged under Section 120B, 489B, 489C, and Section 201 of Indian Penal Code, and also under Section 16, 18, and 20 of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Therefore, the case comes under the jurisdiction of Section 13 of the National Investigation Agency Act. The council seeks permission to present the issues of the case.
Go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Right, Your Honor. There are 3 issues that the council would be like to raise. The first and the second issue will be dealt by me, and the last issue, followed by the prayer, will be dealt by my co-counsel. First issue is whether the present case is maintainable in the court of law or not. Second is whether the offences which are charged under Indian Penal Code against the accused are valid or not. And lastly, whether the offences charged under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act against the accused are valid or not. Argument for the first issue. The prosecution humbly submits to this honorable court that on the basis of statements and which other evidences has clearly established that the present case, that in the present case, this accused have been actively participating in FICNs, and they were also assisting the local militant group, due to which they have been charged under Section 16, 18, and 20 of the Unlawful Prevention Act. And also, as the FIR has been registered against them under Section 120B, 489B, and 489C of the Indian Penal Code. And it was concluded that this case needs to be investigated by the National Investigation Agency. under Section 6 of the Investigation Act 2008. And also, the central government was also of the opinion that there are sufficient material and evidences available against the accused persons for their prosecution under the aforesaid provisions of law. Further, since the case has been fully transferred to the National Investigation Agency, as per the Act of 2008, the case automatically comes under the Special Court of Session under Section 13, read with Section 22 of the National Investigation Agency Act.
Very nice.
In the case of Bika Ranjit Singh versus State of Punjab, the three-judge bench of the Supreme Court opined that it becomes clear from reading these provisions that all the offences comes under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. The Special Court alone has exclusive jurisdiction to try such cases. And Section 13, read with Section 22, Subclause 2 of the National Investigation Act, the argument which was given by the Learned Counsel, which appearing on behalf of the state of Punjab, based on Section 10 of the National Investigation Act, had no legs to stand since the special court has the exclusive jurisdiction over the scheduled offences which were investigated by the investigation agency of the state. The council seeks permission to present the second issue.
Yes. Go ahead.
Now, advance argument for the second issue is, and this is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court, that on 23rd February 2015, the both accused 1 and accused 2, that is Sameer and Monu, they took the bag containing these fake currency notes from their another associate Kallu Mama in order to deliver it in Pulwama to Peter. On 24th February, when the police received this information from the prosecution witness Guddu Singh, please refer to Exhibit 6. Regarding the same, and on the basis of such information, the inspector Akash Singh raided the general coach of Paraka Express, where they found both of them carrying 250 notes of high quality fake currency notes, in the denomination of 2000, having the face value equivalent to 5 lakh rupees. They are referred to Exhibit 6, the statement given by the prosecution witness 3. Everything recovered from them was seized and the detailed seizure memo was prepared. Please refer to annexures F, G, H, and I. And all the seized currency were sent to CFSL, where it was opined that the currency was of high quality fake Indian currency notes. Accordingly, they both Sameer and Monu were arrested by the Delhi police. And it was revealed by both of them that these notes are to be utilized for the bomb blast on Indian Army convoy on 15th August. Therefore, according to the provisions of Section 489C and 489B of Indian Penal Code, all the three accused, namely Sameer, Monu, and Kallu, shall be held guilty, as all of them were in possession of these fake currency notes, having knowledge of the nature of these notes, and also they were using them with the intention for doing the bomb blast. In Bar Singh versus Emperor, it was clearly held by the court that if the accused knows at the time of possession of these counterfeited notes that the nature of these notes are counterfeited nature, then they shall be held guilty. Moving forward, both the Sameer and Monu admitted their involvement in the case, and they also revealed about the Kallu Mama and Peter and Sohail that they all were involved with them. They also revealed that they were in touch with Pakistan and Bangladesh, and they also got instructions with the blast board दुल्हन को सजाने का वक्त आ गया है. And also, their call records, which were taken by the expert opinion of CRT in, are the primary evidence which shows that they were involved in planning for committing the blast. Therefore, as per the records, it can be clearly seen that they were in agreement, that there was an agreement among them to commit such illegal act. Hence, they all shall be held liable for the purpose of doing criminal conspiracy under Section 120B of Indian Penal Code. In the Landa case of State versus Nalini, which is a very famous case of Rajiv Gandhi, it was held by the Apex Court that it is necessary to show that there must be an agreement between two or more persons to do an illegal act. And if it has been established, the person is liable for the criminal conspiracy. And the illegal act may or may not be done with an agreement shall be liable is an offense, and it shall be liable for the under this provision. So everyone who is actually a conspirator need to have been taken part in the commission of each and every one of the conspiratorial acts for the offense of to be done, offense of conspiracy in order to make it out. And it is not necessary for the prosecution to prove that the perpetrators were expressly agreed to do so. If it can be shown by their acts, the person will be held liable under Section 120B. And in the present case, the giving of handling over of these fake currency notes by Samir and Monu clearly shows that there is a meeting of mind between all of them, and they actively participated for the bomb blast to be done on Indian Army convoy on 15th August. Hence, they shall be liable under 120B for committing criminal conspiracy. Similarly, in the case of Ram Narayan Popli versus CBI, it was held by the Supreme Court that to convict the parties for conspiracy, a mere agreement is sufficient a mere agreement between the parties is sufficient. And further, on the basis of these records, when the team of investigators were sent to West Bengal to search Kallu Mama, they got successful in searching them. And they also, as soon as they found his involvement in the case, they arrested him and produced him before the local court of Malda. And at the time of examination, he revealed that Sohail has crossed the border at night and went to Bangladesh. And on the basis of this information, the team searched the house of Sohail. However, no incriminating substance could be recovered, as Kallu Mama, the accused three, had destroyed all the evidences. Therefore, as per Section 201 of the Indian Penal Code, the accused Kallu Mama shall be held guilty for destroying the evidences, as such evidences can be produced in the court. Now I would like to call the co-counsel for explaining the.
I have some query.
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
All the authority with Guddu, how he got secret information? Was it necessary to give the information to any authority or to any public person?
Pardon, can you please repeat the question?
Let me paraphrase it differently. Now, there, as for your case, your secret informer was Guddu Singh. If his name comes up in the charge sheet, how does he remain a secret informer? Question 1. Question 2. Has he been made a witness in the prosecution case?
So
One thing more. Now reply first, then I will ask.
Reply.
Yes, Your Honor, he was the witness for the prosecution.
In the entire charge sheet, there is no mention of him being a witness. Firstly. Secondly, how is his name, since he was a secret informer, how his name crops up in the charge sheet?
Pardon, Your Honor.
Okay, second question is, what is the background of A1 and A2?
So they.
What the mere carriers? See, the thing is, what I am pointing out is that there are certain people who are from the economic background and they are used as carriers. They were only transporting the fake currency. They may not, or they may be involved in the conspiracy. You have no direct evidence besides the CDR. So how does your case hold ground in the absence of any description about A1 and A2? Thirdly, you mentioned there has to be an agreement. There has to be a meeting of minds. How do you demonstrate agreement between A1, A2, A3?
Your Honor.
They might have been told that you have to transport these currencies somewhere in Kashmir. to some fruit seller from whom we import certain fruits. I'm just giving you an example. So they won't know why they are transporting this. So section 16, 17, 18, 20 of the UAPA Act goes.
Your
Since they were of high quality, it is very difficult, and presumably it is very difficult to say that these are fake notes because they were high quality. So a person who normally is, dealing with 10 rupees, 100 rupees, or 500 rupees, he hasn't seen 2000 rupee notes. It would be difficult for him to make out whether they are fake or genuine.
Your Honor, can we use the statements of defendant witnesses in our
You don't have your legs to stand on.
sir, I have, but I want to correlate them. So
You should stand on your own leg, not on the leg of other.
I
One
mean,
more thing I want to ask, kindly see the annexure G. Recovered
Yes.
notes of A1 as well as A2. Their serial numbers, whether it is possible that same number of currency notes will be available in two bags?
those are fake currencies actually.
Yes, sir. Sir, दोनों ही तो
The person who is preparing the fake currency note, it will be numbered same number in two bags.
Then it becomes easy to print.
But numbering is
No,
being
the
made.
number would be the same since it is block printing. So I think it would be cheaper to print, 5 notes of the same denomination and number than having different, numbers in them. Anyway, speaker 2.
And one more query on annexure 3. Annexure arrest memos and person search memos of A1 and A2. Annexure D. It is annexure D. Annexure exhibit 3, annexure A to D. What was the date of arrest of these fellows?
So pardon, they was what was the
What was the date of arrest of these fellows? Accused A1, Samir, and A2.
The 22nd of February.
the 25th of February. So because 23rd on 23rd they carried the notes from Gallu Mama and 24th the train was radiant and then they were arrested.
On the below of the annexure A, exhibit 3, see the date. What is the date?
It's 22nd of February. Please explain.
Yes, proceed further.
It is saying date, even though it is saying date of arrest is 25th February, the inspector Akash Singh, he signs it on 22nd to 2015. Please explain. Can you?
One more query is there on my side. Whether a person who has joined the raiding party can be the investigating officer? What will be transparency in the investigation?
So can you please repeat the question?
A person who has joined the raiding party, Mr. Akash Singh, he was the member of a raiding party. and investigation was conducted by this fellow. How transparency will be done in that manner by doing the investigation by a person who is interested one?
My learned colleague points out that whether a complainant could be an investigating officer himself, can he pursue his own cause himself? He was a member of the raiding party, right? Then again, how can he take up investigation subsequently? It should have been handed over, in all fairness, it should have been handed over to somebody else.
Pardon, Your Honor.
You have a second speaker?
So Speaker 2, you may start with your arguments.
Okay. The Counsel for the State asks permission of the bench to continue with issue number 3.
Granted, please proceed.
Much obliged. The accused have been engaged in terrorist activity, inclusive of transportation of high quality FMC notes, to bomb blast due to happen in Pulwama on Indian Army convoy on the occasion of Independence Day. They were part of an unlawful organization and were caught red-handedly with huge consignment of FICN notes, which were read under UPA, making them terrorists to plot against the country. The statement given by prosecution witness 2, Iqbal Khan, it established that both A1 and A2 knew each other from a considerable period of time. At the time of arrest at the General Coach number 2 of Faraka Express train, A1 and A2 were arrested together and the baggage they were carrying with them held high-quality FMC notes. Also, prosecution witness 4, Rupendra Singh, shows that during the investigation, both accused Samir and Monu admitted that they were working as per the order given by accused 3, who had received FNC from accused 5, which is suffice to establish the fact that A1 and A2 were working together for transporting the FICM. The principal charge is that as a member of terrorist organization that Samir and others were engaged in involved a conspiracy to not only wage war against the government but also to circulate high quality FNC notes and subsequently destabilize the monetary stability in guise of protest against the government. Section 18 of the UAPA Act states that the punishment for conspiring or attempting to commit or advocate, abet, advise, or incite the commission of a terrorist act or any preparatory to commission of the terrorist act. Now, prosecution witness 4, Rupendra Singh's statement shows that during the investigation, both A1 and A2 admitted the involvement of A3 and A4, and also by further investigation in Rajasthan by NIA officer revealed the involvement of A4, followed by his death by suicide when the police officials were closing in on him, which further affirmed his involvement in the matter. Now, during the investigation, police brought out 2 bank account statements, one of which belonged to accused 3 and the other account belonged to his wife, namely Srimati Bibi. In financial inclusion account opening form, accused 3 has mentioned a mobile number, and this same mobile number is the number whose CDR shows frequent communication and association with mobile numbers of other accused. This affirms the fact that A1, accused 1, accused 2, accused 3, and accused 4 knew each other very well and were working with each other and were involved in conspiring with accused number 5. To mark the presence of knowledge and intent in pursuant to common design, the accused is also proclaimed to have prior meeting in the locality called Malda, where it is alleged that the conspirators pledged to plan for executing a bomb blast on a convoy of Indian Army in Pulwama on auspicious occasion of 69th Independence Day of India in 2015. In this regard, the state points out to the CDR analysis portion of subject charge sheet at 17.27, 17.30, read with 17.32. In the case of Ashik Iqbal Tanha versus State of NCT, Delhi, the High Court has said that it urged and moreover, under Section 18 of UAPA, not merely conspiracy to commit a terrorist act, but an attempt to commit or advocating the commission or advising it or inciting or directing or knowingly facilitating commission of a terrorist act is also punishable. In fact, even act preparatory of commission of terrorist act are punishable under Section 18 of UAPA. Now, Section 20 of the Act also states that any person who is member of a terrorist gang or a terrorist organization which is involved in terrorist act shall be punished. And Section 38, Clause 1 mentions that a person who associates himself or professes to be associated with a terrorist organization with intention to further its activities commits an offense relating to membership of terrorist group. Now, the statement given by prosecution witness 2, Iqbal Khan, not only established that accused 5 and accused 3 were working together, but also that they exhibit the anti-national behavior since long before the events in the question. The statement mentioned a few dialogues, or rather publicly made comments, that were against the unity and sovereignty of a nation, and the accused were even arrested for the same. Now, the statement given by prosecution witness 4, Rupender Singh, revealed that mentioned that accused 3 revealed that he has been receiving FICN from accused 5 as many different occasions in past for further transportation and transactions, and that he has crossed the border at night and went to Bangladesh on 20th June 2015. Now, the mere act of abscondment by accused 5 from India to Bangladesh attest and affirm to the fact that he was indeed working as an agent to extraterritorial terrorist group Lashkar-e-Taiba, which has been declared a terrorist group under schedule given in UAPA. Now that all above stated facts and admissions made by the accused during the investigation and all the findings of the current case points towards one conclusion, that the accused were involved in commuting the FICN, which was then going to utilize the funding of terrorist activities in the valley. In the case of Zahoor Ahmed Shah Batali versus NIA, the Learned District Session Judge of Delhi stated that the offense is attracted when the funds are raised, collected, or provided with knowledge that such funds are likely to be used by such person, terrorist organization, or terrorist gangs for the commission of terrorist act. Therefore, as to the above discussion, it is presented that the ingredients of offense charged under section 16, 17, 18, and 20 under chapter 4 and 6 of the UAPA are beyond reasonable doubt made out by reasons to meet procedure of applying the provision of subclause 3A of clause A of subsection 1 of section 15 read with 16. In conclusion, the Council of the State most humbly pray and implore before the Honorable Court that it may be graciously pleased to pass a conviction and declare the accused guilty, prescribing an appropriate punishment as it deemed fit in the interest of equity, justice, and good conscience. Any question, or should the Council
Yes.
would like to conclude with the prayer?
What is the evidence of conspiracy?
Evidence of conspiracy, sir. The CDR proves that they were in the connection with each other since starting. They all were calling each other and were known each other. Moreover, accused 5 and accused 3 have, prior to this case, were involved in a case where they were talking against the government, and they have specifically said दुल्हन को सजाने का समय आ गया है, stating that they were planning to do a bomb blast on Independence Day.
Is any evidence was filed by you showing these facts? What is the evidence?
Sir,
There is
we
any
have
evidence?
we have prosecution witness number 2, Iqbal Singh. He has said that again and again in that all the witness accused number 3 and accused number 5 have been involved in these kind of cases prior, and they were of the opinion that the government's policies and the government are doing is not right.
How you are showing the connection of accused number 5 with accused number 3? What is the evidence? Oh. And one more query.
Yeah.
Switching off a phone. Accused number 2 has switched off his phone for 3-4 days.
Yes.
Is there any evidence that he went to Bangladesh or any such other place? to conspire this crime?
No, sir, there is no witness for that, and no evidence for that too.
Yes.
Uh, Speaker 2, you made a mention that there were a number of instances of transportation of fake currency by accused 1 and 2.
Hmm.
As per investigation and charges, how many instances of transportation have been mentioned?
Can you please repeat your question once? I couldn't hear you clearly.
My question is, during your arguments, you mentioned that there were many instances of transportation by A1 and A2 of fake currencies, and that they were a gang. My question is, as per the charge sheet, how many instances of transportation of fake currencies have been mentioned in the charge?
Sir, first of all, I would like to
Let us
mention
not
that.
let us not bring vague answers or vague submissions. We are talking strictly from the record.
Okay. So
we
first,
have just one instance of transportation in which A1 and A2 were caught, right?
yes, sir.
Secondly, you mentioned that they are a terrorist gang
Yes, sir.
associated with Lashkar-e-Toba, right?
Yes.
What is the name of this terrorist gang?
Luxury.
No, that is a different terrorist organization. Now, they are a gang
Yes.
who help and support Lashkar-e-Toba. Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, what is their name? How are they known as?
Uh,
Question third. Any evidence from the court which suggests the fact that they are a gang?
the fact that they are working together and they are in close connection with each other is enough to say that they are a gang. And they don't have a name per se, but
Such grave offences, waging war against the state, UAPA, okay, the degree of proof is far greater than it would be in a simple case of hurt. P23, right?
yes.
There is no presumption.
Hmm.
Now, again, presumption would be interpreted as law or evidence. In this case, we cannot presume, can we?
No, we can't.
Considering the gravity of the offense.
Hmm.
And I would prefer if speakers speak strictly from the record.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So,
Good afternoon. Yes, good morning. Good afternoon, judges. If it may please the court, the council seeks permission to collectively refer the bench as your honors.
Would you just wait for 1 minute?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. देखते हैं.
Okay, you may proceed.
If it may please the court, the council seeks permission to collectively refer the bench as your honors.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
Your honors, this is counsel number 1, along with my co-counsel and researcher on behalf of the defense, representing the accused in the case of State versus Sameer and others. Your honor, the council will take 15 minutes of honorable court time and address and prove that the evidences produced by the prosecution are insufficient to charge the accused under section 121, 123, 201 and 120 capital B of Indian Penal Code 1860. However, my co-counsel will address the court for 12 minutes. For 30 minutes and will deal with the issue regarding section 489 capital B, section 489 capital C of Indian Penal Code 1860 and relevant charges under section 16, 17, 18 and 20 of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967. Your Honor, the Honorable Court has jurisdiction over the present matter under section 13 of the National Investigation Agency Act 2008. Your Honor, to speculate is one thing and to prove is another. Your Honor, the case is at its concluding stage and defense counsel asserts the innocence of all the accused in a simple case that is simply fabricated. Mere common sense will guide the members sitting in the court to acquit all the accused of the case. Your Honor, the fictional story created by the prosecution to throw the dirt on the accused in the case will definitely win an Oscar, but not this case. The council agrees with the prosecution that this was indeed an open and shut case, because as soon as prosecution opened its fabricated case, it should have been shut down with just another principle of malicious prosecution. Your Honor, in the present case, police and the prosecution has charged the accused on the basis of inadmissible, rather I say unreliable evidences. Your Honor, loophole in the prosecution's story are not just minor discrepancies, but a huge bowl of lies and assumptions. Your Honor, it is a cardinal principle of criminal jurisprudence that every charge on accused shall be proved beyond any reasonable doubt. Your Honor, the council in the present case plans to discard each and every evidence produced by the prosecution in order to prove the innocence of the accused and prove that the whole case is planted by the police and it's just nothing but just a faulty investigation. Your Honors, if you don't have any preliminary inquiry, the council seeks permission to move on to the charges under section 121, 123, 201, along with section 120 capital B of Indian Penal Code. If I are
Please do.
much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, before starting my main submission, the council would like to submit that the worthy prosecution is stating that the honorable court does have jurisdiction over the present matter, and the council is not denying anywhere that the honorable court does not have jurisdiction over the present matter. However, the council will definitely prove that the accused have been wrongfully charged under the matter and will prove the innocence in the world and in front of the honorable court. Your Honor, the worthy prosecution failed to state even one point or one argument regarding section 121 or conviction in the section 121 of Indian Penal Code 1860. Your Honor, now I would like to move on to my further submission and the primary submission. And for the convenience of the bench, the council have two submissions. First, that the evidences provided by the prosecution are inadmissible and unreliable. And second, that there are insufficient evidences to prove the charges under Indian Penal Code under section 121, along with 123, 201, and section 120 capital B of Indian Penal Code 1860. Moving on to the first submission, Your Honor, the council submits that the worthy prosecution has relied on several evidences such as seizure memo, CFSL report, CDR report, and the confessional statements made by the accused. However, Your Honor, all these evidences are inadmissible in the court of law. Your Honor, the council will discard each and every evidence produced by the worthy prosecution in order to prove the investigation faulty and create more than just a mere reasonable doubt. Your Honor, the council would like to move on to the foundations of the prosecution case, that is the seizure memo. Your Honor, seizure memo is one of the primary evidences presented by the prosecution as stated by the prosecution counsel. However, Your Honor, the same memo cannot be admitted in the court of law. Your Honor, according to the case of A. Tojdi versus Union of India, SCC 2005, as present on page number 10 of the memorandum, page number 10 of the memorandum, and page number 10 of the compendium itself. Your Honor, if we have permission, we would like to share the screen. Your Honor, if you may refer to page number 10 of the compendium, the Honorable Supreme Court in the case held that merely because of a seizure memo executed at the time of the recovery, which was attested by two independent witnesses, that would not lend credibility to the same. Such credibility would attach to it only if the said independent witnesses are produced as the witness in the court of law. The accused is, and it can be admitted only if the accused is afforded the opportunity to cross-examine them, which was not done in the present case. Your Honor, similarly in the present case, first of all, the seizure memo has not been signed or attested by any of the independent witnesses, which can be seen on page number 6, 7th, and 8th of the compendium, which makes the seizure memo doubtful from the very starting. Moreover, Your Honor, Ravi Kumar's statement was not recorded by the police. Additionally, Ravi Kumar, who was the independent witness of seizure of the fake currency notes, was not present in the front of court as a witness. Hence, the seizure memo cannot be considered as an evidence. The seizure of fake notes is unreliable, and the defense contends the same, that the notes were never in the possession of the accused, and they were just wrongfully charged with the offenses by the prosecution. I'm sorry, charged by the prosecution. The evidences or the fake currency notes were just planted by the prosecution or the police department itself, and they were never seized from the accused. Your Honor, moving on to the next primary evidence as per the prosecution, the CFSL report in the present case is inadmissible rather than unreliable, Your Honor. Your Honor, because according to Section 45 of Indian Evidence Act, the opinion of an expert must be given orally. A mere report or certificate by him is not an evidence in the court of law. Your Honor, in the case of State of HP versus Edward Samuel Chetron, Criminal Law Journal 2001, as presented on page number 21 of Memorial and page number 14 of the compendium, the court held that report by an expert is necessary and report cannot be consented as an evidence unless the person preparing the report is examined in the court of law. Your Honor, similarly in the present case, the data of the CFSL was produced. However, the expert witness who prepared the CFSL report is not listed in the list of prosecution witness list. Hence, the report presented in the court of law is not reliable and is inadmissible in the court of law. Additionally, Your Honor, in para 17.35 of the charge sheet, which is also presented on page number 2 of the compendium, it itself states the CFSL did not provide any explanation about their conclusion, which can be a conclusion behind reaching the rationale that the notes were of fake currency, high counterfeit nature. Your Honor, according to the case of Amar Singh, Ramji Bhai Barot versus State of Gujarat, SCC 2005 and AIR 2005, which is also presented on page number 18 of the compendium, the court held that the court does not become functus officio after the report of an expert. The court in the mentioned case overturned the opinion of expert since the expert was not able to give proper reasons behind his conclusion. Similarly, in the present case, Your Honor, charge sheet itself states that no proper reasons were given by CFSL in order to conclude their statements. Therefore, Your Honor, it is most humbly submitted that such indiscrepancies within the documents of the prosecution makes the evidence unreliable, and the accused cannot be charged on the basis of those statements or the report. It is most, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Your Honor, moving on to the next primary evidence, as stated on the 7th minute of, as stated in 7th minute of speech by the worthy prosecution counsel 1, that she stated that the electronic record or the CDR report is a primary evidence of their case. Your Honor, it is most humbly submitted that the CDR records can be admissible in the court of law, but the electronic evidence is more susceptible to tampering than any other documentary evidence. The standard of proof about their authenticity and accuracy has to be more stringent. Source and authenticity are two key factors of admissibility of electronic records. In the present case, the authenticity of CDR is questionable. Your Honor, according to landmark judgment of Anwar PV versus PK Bashir, as explained on page number 20 and 21 of Memorial and page number 17 of the compendium, the court held that electronic record produced in form of secondary evidences can be admissible only when the compliance certificate under section 65 capital B subsection 4 is present in the court of law. Moreover, Your Honor, the Honorable Supreme Court in case of Harpal Singh versus State of Punjab, Criminal Law Journal 2070, as presented on page number 34 and 35 of the compendium, stated that secondary evidence in form of call details of cell phone is inadmissible as an evidence in court of law in absence of production of certificate under section 65 capital B subsection 4 of Indian Evidence Act 1972. Hence, Your Honor, it is most humbly submitted that the prosecution's whole case surrounds around the CDR reports and the CFSL reports. Therefore, Your Honor, it is most humbly submitted that this case should be discarded at this point of time only because, Your Honor, there are insufficient evidences to prove anything. Moving on to the next evidence produced by the worthy prosecution, Your Honor, worthy prosecution has completely relied on the reports given by the witnesses under section 161 of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. Your Honor, moreover, they have relied on the confessional statements given to the police. However, Your Honor, according to section 25 of Indian Evidence Act, no statement given to police shall be proved against him. Your Honor, in case of Deepak Bhai Jagdish Chandra Patel versus State of Gujarat, as present on page number 21 and 22 of compendium, the court held that confession made to police is inadmissible by the virtue of Section 25. Section 25 of Indian Evidence Act declares that in fact no confession made to police officer shall be proved as against the person accused of any offense. Now, Honorable Court held that the confessional statements are irrelevant no matter what kind of confession it may be. The Honorable Apex Court, on the numerous decisions, have decided that the confessional statements and statements under Section 161 of CRPC cannot be admitted in the court of law. Similarly, in the present case, Your Honor, police and the worthy prosecution has based its case completely on the statements given by the accused and have not corroborated its statement with any of the substantial or circumstantial evidences. Hence, Your Honor, it is most humbly submitted that any of the accused cannot be charged under any offense provided by the prosecution. Moreover, Your Honor, the counsel most humbly submits that the investigation done by the police department or NIA in the present case is faulty. Your Honor, if you may refer to Annexure D, Annexure C of the CRPC, the date of arrest in the arrest memo is 25th February. However, signature were 2 day prior to the actual date of arrest. Moreover, Your Honor, if you may refer to Annexure G of the charge sheet, the serial number of all the notes have been repeated almost thrice, which would not allow the notes to fall under the definition of high quality counterfeit fake currency notes under the Schedule 1 of UAPA Act 1967. Moreover, Your Honor, in case of State of Punjab versus Rakesh Kumar, Criminal Law Journal 1998, the Apex Court held that in cases where there are number of informants in the evidence produced by the prosecution and the discrepancies, that in case of discrepancies, the benefit of doubt is given to the accused. No proper handling of the investigation would lead to acquittal. Similarly, in the present case, such inconsistencies with the evidences will lead to acquittal of all the accused. Moving on to the next submission, Your Honor, there are insufficient circumstantial evidences present. Your Honor, in the case of Baksheesh Singh versus State of Punjab, AIR 1971, as presented on page number 24 of the compendium, the court stated that circumstances relied upon in support of the conviction must be fully established and the chain of the evidence furnished by those evidences must be so far complete as not to leave any reasonable ground for the conclusion consistent with the inconscience of the accused, and further, it must be such as to show that within all human probability, the act must have been done by the accused. Your Honor, in the present case, the chain of circumstantial evidences is broken, or rather I say, it has never been started, because worthy prosecution counsel has based its circumstantial evidences on the CDR report and 161 statements in order to link the accused and to determine the location of the accused. However, Your Honor, such evidences are inadmissible and circumstances cannot be relied on such unreliable evidences. Your Honor, the prosecution's argument are leaning toward the fact that the crimes may have been committed by the accused. However, they fail to make any link between may have committed the crime and have committed the crime. And the gap must be filled by the prosecution by legal, reliable, unimpeachable, moreover admissible evidences before a conviction can be sustained. Your Honor, moving on to the next fold of the submission, the counsel submits that even if for a second, if we consider the evidences provided by the prosecution, even there, the case cannot attract the charges. Your Honor, counsel submits that the accused cannot be convicted under Section 121 and 123 of Indian Penal Code. Your Honor, Section 121 criminalizes the waging of war against the government of India. Your Honor, in case of State versus Navjot Sandhu at Afsan Guru on page 24 of the memorial and 26 and 27 of the compendium, Honorable Supreme Court held that in order to constitute a crime under Section 121, the accused shall have done more than preparation to wage the war. Your Honor, the phrase
Speaker one, your 15 minutes are over, the allotted time.
With the permission of the bench, I would ask for 1 minute extra.
Please proceed.
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, the phrase more than preparation refers that the accused should have been in possession of weapons and must try to use it against the government of India. Similarly, in the present case, there is no single evidence which showed that the accused were in possession of any arms or ammunition, which was going to be used against the government of India. Moreover, Your Honor, if there was no attempt to wage a war, there was no attempt to wage a war. In case of Shaukat Hussain versus State of NCT Delhi, the Honorable Supreme Court held when there is absence of charges under Section 121, the acts of the accused cannot attract charges under Section 123 of Indian Penal Code 1860. Hence, Your Honor, it is most humbly submitted that the accused cannot be held guilty under Section 121, read with Section 123 of Indian Penal Code 1860. Moving on to the last major offense, Your Honor, it is submitted that Section 201 of Indian Penal Code criminalizes the destruction of the evidence. Your Honor, in case of Palwinder Kaur versus State of Punjab, as presented on page number 29 of the compendium, the court held that in order to establish the charges under Section 201 of Indian Penal Code, it is essential to prove that offense has been committed. Mere suspicion that it might have been committed is not sufficient. Similarly, in the present case, Your Honor, there is no evidence to show that the accused concealed or destroyed any evidences. The only reason the accused was charged with a particular section was because the police was unable to find any evidence and assumed that the accused might have destroyed the evidence. Hence, the accused cannot be held liable under Section 201 of Indian Penal Code. Additionally, the other accused, A1, Samir, and A2, Monu, have nowhere been mentioned to destroy evidences in the charge sheet. Hence, the charges is completely baseless and devoid of any merit. Your Honor, in case of VC Shukla versus State, as presented on page number 31 of the compendium, the court held that in order to prove the criminal conspiracy, there must be evidence, direct or circumstantial, to show that there was an agreement between two or more persons to commit an offense. There must be a meeting of minds resulting in ultimate decision taken by the conspirators regarding the commission of an offense, and where the factum of conspiracy is sought to be inferred from the circumstances. Prosecution has to show that the circumstances give rise to conclusive or irresistible inference of an agreement between two or more persons to commit an offense. In the present case, Your Honor, there is not a single evidence to show, single admissible and reliable evidence to show that there was a connection between all the accused, or they were in connection with each other. However, Your Honor, even for a second, if we consider the evidences, Your Honor, mere connection will not show any criminal intent, Your Honor. Mere connection between all the accused is just a connection between some friends and cannot be concerned or cannot be stated as a conspiracy. Therefore, Your Honor, it is most humbly submitted that the accused cannot be held liable under Section 121, 123, 201, and Section 120 capital B of Indian Penal Code 1860. Hence, the accused shall be acquitted immediately on the basis of the submissions of the counsel. Unless I can be of any more assistance to the court, the counsel rests its argument and would like to invite my co-counsel to leave.
There is some queries.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your phone mobile location
Yes, Your Honor.
was there in Madhya Pradesh as well as in Malda and Delhi. Is not the sufficient evidence?
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, as stated by the counsel before, Your Honor, the CDR reports presented by the prosecution are not admissible and reliable in the present case because there is absence of 65B, 65 capital B, subsection 4 compliance under Indian Evidence Act 1872. And according to the landmark judgment of Anwar PV versus TK Bashir, in order to present an evidence in a secondary form, which was earlier electronic record, compliance under Section 65 capital B subsection 4 is necessary and must, and without that compliance, that evidence cannot be admitted, and authenticity of such evidence cannot be proved in front of the Honorable Court. Hence, Your Honor, the evidences Your Honor just stated are not admissible and unreliable in the court of law. Hence, nothing can be inferred from that evidence only.
Accused A2 and A1 both have stated against accused A3.
Yes, Your Honor.
As per Evidence Act
Yes,
30,
yes,
whether it will not be considered.
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, the Supreme Court in number of cases have stated that the statements of the confessional statements of the accused are inadmissible in the court of law. Rather than even if the Section 30 is there, there needs to be more than just mere confessional statements against the co-accused in order to prove the guilt of the co-accused. Moreover, Your Honor, the statements Your Honor are mentioning about are given under Section 161 of Criminal Procedure Code 1973. And such statements are inadmissible in the court of law, because the rationale behind this can be inferred from Section 24 of Indian Evidence Act, which states that any statement given to the police under the coercion or torture is inadmissible in the court. And in the present case, Your Honor, there are very high chances that the statements given by the accused to the police might have been given under the coercion or torture of the police. Therefore, Your Honor, such statements are inadmissible in the court of law, and the accused cannot be held guilty on the basis of such statements.
How we should presume that the statements started under compulsion?
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, such number of infirmities and plantation of fake evidences with the accused makes it very clear that the police department wanted accused to be convicted under these offences because of their faulty investigation itself. Therefore, Your Honor, the whole evidences and moreover the statements given to the police are planted by the police department itself and cannot be relied on.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes, Your Honor.
firstly,
Yes, Your Honor.
please give me a motive by the prosecution to plant fake currency notes on your clients A1, A2.
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, if you may refer to
Do
the
they know, does the prosecution, the investigating ENC know A1, A2 beforehand? No. Do they have any reason to plant fake currency notes on especially A1, A2?
much obliged, Your
Have
Honor.
you ever deposed? Has A1, A2 ever come in defense witness, and have they ever deposed that they were, falsely implicated? Please talk straight. See, basically, what I've learned from your arguments is you beat around the bush a lot, right? You've been saying that it is inadmissible. Now, what exactly? What exhibit is inadmissible? You should have taken from the record. You should have gone on to the charge sheet. Now, this is the exhibit, and because of so and so reasons, this is inadmissible.
Yes, Your
Okay?
Honor.
Rather than going around, this thing and giving vague arguments, you tell me why would the prosecution, plant fake currency notes?
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, the counsel humbly submits that the Exhibit 7 is recorded under Section 161 of Criminal Procedure Code 1973. Therefore, is inadmissible in the court of law. Moreover, Your Honor, the CDR report.
You should read Section 145, 154 of the Indian Evidence Act.
Yes,
Now, these statements are recorded for the purpose of contradiction. Okay, so before saying anything, whether it is admissible or not admissible, you tell me the section under which it is not admissible.
Your Honor,
Let us talk about statements of 161 only.
Your Honor, Section 162 of Criminal.
We cannot throw the statements of 161 or 162 straight away.
Yes,
Okay,
Your Honor.
that is different. If I start explaining you, it would take quite a bit of time. But first, my precise question is, why would prosecution plant fake currency notes on?
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, if you may refer to the charge sheet itself, Your Honor, sorry, Your Honor. Your Honor, charge sheet itself, Your Honor, it is clearly stated that the Guddu Singh, who was the complainant, received an anonymous statement. Therefore, Your Honor, it is not just, Your Honor, the counsel is not just contending that the police and the police only have implanted the evidences. However, Your Honor,
Mr. Speaker, either you say sorry or you please answer my questions very, very specific. Why would the police implicate you? You only. What grievance do they have against you?
much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, that's what the counsel is trying to explain. That the contention of the counsel was not that the only police planted the evidence. The contention of the counsel is that the evidences or the fake currency notes might have been implanted by someone, because, Your Honor, the Guddu Singh.
Does your client A1, A2 know Guddu Singh?
No, Your Honor, but Your Honor.
Why would he give false information? Firstly, secondly, just hear me out. Secondly, do you wish to say that the prosecution, that is the IO, the raiding party, they were carrying these notes?
Your Honor,
they made out a false case against you?
Yes, Your Honor. The case has been.
They were carrying false notes.
Your Honor, it is not the contention of the defense counsel to prove that. However, Your Honor, it is
What were your clients A1 and A2 doing in Delhi?
Your
What
Honor,
did they do?
Your Honor,
What were they doing? They are residents of Malda, right?
yes, Your Honor.
Why had they come to Delhi? Why had they boarded the trains?
Your Honor, they were just mere visiting the capital of
They
their
came here
very
for
own
sightseeing?
nation.
They came here for sightseeing?
Yes, Your Honor, they were mere visiting the country, the capital of their very own nation.
Okay. So they were visiting here, right? So
Yes,
they
Your Honor.
must be having some hotel reservations. They must have
Or-
come only two friends. They could have got their families. What were the other SIM cards doing? What were the other mobiles doing with them?
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, that's what the council is stating, that in
What
absence
were
of,
they doing with 5 lakhs?
much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, that 5 lakhs, that
You have to again see. You can't blow hot and cold at the same time. You can't say that the raiding party planted these notes, and then you are telling me that they had come down to Delhi for sightseeing. So you have to take one stand. You cannot have alternate defenses.
yes, Your Honor,
Alternate defenses.
that's what the council is
You
stating.
got the criminal trial, right?
That's what the council is stating, Your Honor. The seizure memo presented by the prosecution in the present case is unreliable itself because, Your
Why?
Honor,
Why?
the punch witnesses were never examined in the front of the court, or the independent witnesses such as Ravi Kumar were never examined in the front of the honorable court. Therefore, Your Honor, the seizure memo from the
See, the weakness of prosecution cannot be your strength, Mr. Speaker.
sorry, Your Honor.
Right? Your case has to stand on your legs.
Your Honor,
Mensreya is there.
Your Honor, the
You have to
honorable
receive
Supreme Court
10% commission. It is there. It is in your statement.
Sorry, Your Honor.
See,
You have to receive commission, 10% commission
Your Honor, that is
of
a
that date.
addition. Your Honor, according to Deepak Bhai Jagdish
your
Chandra,
bank statements have money deposited in them. How do you explain?
Your Honor, the evidences for the same were not provided. Your Honor, it was just written in the charge sheet.
You cannot blow away all the evidences. You cannot say that I am a saint.
Your Honor, according to the case of Kaptan Singh versus State of Punjab, the Honorable Supreme Court held that mere things that is written in the charge sheet or the mere conclusion of the police investigation is not an evidence itself, and the evidence has to be corroborated in order to prove.
Take the charge sheet. You have to establish your case.
Yes, Your Honor.
There might be many improbabilities. There might be many defects in the charge sheet. We are not on to that. We are on to whatever you are speaking.
Much obliged.
So you have to build up your own case.
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, that's what the council.
And you have to satisfy this bench with regard to the authenticity of your case and the credibilityness of your statements
Your Honor,
and your witnesses.
Your Honor, much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, it is the duty of the prosecution to prove every charge beyond any reasonable doubt. However, Your Honor, the defense counsel.
Talk about your duties. Please don't
Yes,
talk
Your
about the prosecution duties.
Yes, Your Honor.
We've already held them. Now it is your turn.
Your Honor, the defense counsel has created more than just a reasonable doubt in order to prove its case and discard the case of the prosecution. Therefore, Your Honor, according to the cardinal principle of criminal jurisprudence, if there lies a reasonable doubt, the accused shall be acquitted from the court of law.
Will the other speaker take up from here?
Am I audible?
Speaker number 2,
Yes.
go ahead.
Okay. If you may please the court, this is counsel number 2 from the side of the defense in the matters of state, NIA versus Sameer and others. Your Honor, counsel number 2 shall be dealing with establishing that the charges are not present under section 489 B and C of the Indian Penal Code, and that the convictions should not be made under section 16, 17, 18, and 20 of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967. Your Honor, if your honors have no preliminary inquiry, the council will now move forward with the further submissions. Your Honor, the present case is a robust example wherein the wrongful conviction has been made. Your Honor, in the present matter, convictions have been made under the pretense that the alleged accused were carrying 500 notes of rupees 2,000 for using them and conspiring against the country's national integrity and sovereignty. But Your Honor, in the present matter, the defense counsel humbly submits that this case is not a case where conviction was to be made, but Your Honor, this case is a case where miscarriage of justice has taken place. Your Honor, as stated by my co-counsel and putting reliance upon A. Tajuddin versus Union of India, that is on page number 9, merely because the memo executed at the time of recovery was attested by two independent witnesses, that would not lend credibility to the same. Your Honor, furthermore, it was stated that such credibility would attach to it only if the said two independent witnesses are produced as witness and the accused is afforded an opportunity to cross-examine them. Furthermore, Your Honor, in the present matter, absence of independent witness, that is Ravi Kumar, render the very same effect. Your Honor, it leads to create reasonable doubt that there could be a possibility of hampering that might have taken place during the whole period. Furthermore, Your Honor, as stated by the counsel and I, that the photos attached in the charge sheet, that in that charge sheet, a single phone and a single Aadhaar card is present. But Your Honor, in the arrest memo in itself, it has been stated that total or 3 mobile phones and 2 Aadhaar cards were recovered from the accused. So Your Honor, this discrepancy is not just a mere small discrepancy, but rather this shows that injustice and miscarriage of procedure that had to be followed had taken place. Your Honor, further, it is stated that in the case of Kaptan Singh versus State of Madhya Pradesh, that is on page number 36 and 37, it is a triad that the result of investigation can never be a legal evidence. Furthermore, Your Honor, it is humbly observed and it's stated before the Honorable Court that the present matter, the evidence that has been corroborated are not just mere insufficient evidence, but rather these are inadmissible evidence. These evidences do not prove the required mens rea for conviction under 489B and C, and do not prove that there were activities that would have taken place against the country integrity in Pulwama. Furthermore, to further substantiate this, the counsel humbly submits that there is an absence of mens rea prerequisite under this section. Your Honor, on page number 46 of the compendium, it is humbly submitted that in the case of Uma Shankar versus State of Chhattisgarh, mens rea under section 489B and C has been defined as knowing or having reasons to believe the currency of banknotes to be forged or counterfeit. Your Honor, it was further stated that without the aforementioned mens rea, selling, buying, or receiving from another person or otherwise trafficking is not enough to constitute an offense. Your Honor, it is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court that in the present matter, all the accused, that is Samir, Monu, and Kallu at the rate Mama, lack the required mens rea. In the present matter, the police have falsely charged and arrested Samir and Monu for carrying fake Indian currency notes. But Your Honor, it has humbly submitted before the Honorable Court that statement made under 161 is not admissible. Furthermore, if reliance is even placed upon these statements, it is humbly submitted that the Kuttu Singh, who was the secret informant in the present matter, stated that there would have been 2 persons carrying fake Indian currency notes from Malda all the way to Delhi. Your Honor, nowhere in that particular statement has the names Samir and Monu have been mentioned. Your Honor, this discrepancies show that there could have been n number of possibilities that could have taken place between the eventual court of both the accused and between the statement made by the Kuttu Singh. Furthermore, Your Honor, in the present matter, the charge arrest memo is signed by Akash Singh on 22nd February. Your Honor, the arrest has been made on 25th of February. These instances are not just mere indiscrepancy that the counsel is trying to prove that under this state, if these were to be ignored, the charges would have been made. Your Honor, these are to be pointed out by the side of the counsel merely because these show that there was indeed some conspiracy hatching behind and not against the country. There could have been any possibility other than that, but in the present matter, it has led down to the conviction of both the accused, that is Samir and Monu. Furthermore, Your Honor, it is humbly submitted that in the case of T.J. Mohan versus State, the counsel held that mere recovery of the counterfeit note will not attract punishment under section 489C. Your Honor, it was stated that conviction will be attracted only if the person had the knowledge of that currency he possessed were counterfeit notes and that he intended to use them as genuine. Your Honor, it was further stated that mere recovery of the counterfeit notes cannot attract punishment under section 489 capital C of the Indian Penal Code. Your Honor, it is the counsel humbly submits that, and also in the case of Noor Islam versus State of Maharashtra, the prosecution failed to prove important ingredient of the offense that the accused was knowing or had reasons to believe that the notes or notes he was in possession were counterfeit of gold, and hence the accused was acquitted for the same. Your name is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court that the onus, even if it's on the prosecution, the onus that was on defense, that the mens rea was absent, has been completely proved. Your Honor, even if we consider the statement inadmissible, that is made under 161, it is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court that in these particular statements, they have clearly stated that they had no knowledge regarding when and how these evidences, how these notes were to be carried or how they were in possession of the notes. Furthermore, Your Honor, it is humbly submitted that whatever discovery that has been made in NIA's investigation, until and unless corroborated by legal document, that is admissible as an evidence in the court of law, no reliance cannot be placed upon it, because, sir, until and unless evidence is provided, these are just mere talks that have been made upon. Furthermore, Your Honor, it is humbly submitted that the CDR reports do not prove presence of mens rea in the present matter. Your Honor, as stated by my co-counsel and I, that CDR report, in the CDR reports, even if due consideration is given and reliance is placed upon CDR report, the counsel humbly submits that these reports do not prove the requisite mens rea for the same. Your Honor, in the present matter, the CDR report shows connection between Sameer and Kallu at the rate Mama, and between Kallu at the rate Mama and Peter. But Your Honor, these CDR reports do not show that there was a chain of evidence or a chain of circumstantial incidents that would have happened, or if there was in fact instances where all the accused were in constant touch with each other. Your Honor, this just shows that certain individuals who might have been in connection with certain other individuals were in constant connection with each other. But it does not prove the fact that the Sameer and Monu were in constant touch with Peter and Peter and Sohail, who are contested to be the real perpetrator in the same. Your Honor, as these evidences provided by the prosecution is of no use, and as clearly the defense has provided that there is absence of mens rea in the present matter, it is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court that there should be no convictions made under Section 489B and C. And after this, it is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court as a last sort of argument for CDR, that as stated by the prosecution, that as an primary evidence, it is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court that the prosecution must produce that compliance certificate required under Section 65B for it to be considered as a primary source of evidence. Your Honor, as explained by the co-counsel by putting reliance upon Harpal Singh, CDR is not attested in this particular matter as an evidence, and furthermore, Your Honor, CDR has not been used as an evidence and is not have compliance certificate. So, Your Honor, CDR reports are not a reliable source of evidence in the matter. Your Honor, the counsel will now move forward with the convictions under Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Your Honor, it is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court that the present matter does not fall under the ambit of definition of Section 15 of the particular Act, and the presumption as enshrined under Section 43 capital E of the Unlawful Activities Act is not present in the matter. Your Honor, in the case of State of Maharashtra versus Mirza Himayat Beg, Honorable Court held that it would not be possible to hold that mere recovery of stuff from the accused itself is sufficient to presumably infer, with the aid of Section 43 capital E clause A of the UAP Act, that the accused has committed such offense, that is of indulging in terrorist acts as defined under Section 15. Your Honor, it is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court that the present matter does not have that particular evidence, and for the matter that does not have incidents which prove that the amount that was to be carried, if were carried by the accused with the knowledge that they had these particular amount of fake currency, was to be carried forward for attack in Pulwama. Furthermore, Your Honor, the reports do not clearly show, and in this humbly submitted before the Honorable Court, that the CFSL report is not a competent document because, Your Honor, it is most specified and most humbly implored before the court that the procedure laid down under Section 6 Clause 2 of the Investigation of High Quality Counterfeit Indian Currency Offences Rule 2013 has not been followed. Your Honor, it is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court as stated in page 2 of the CFSL report that in the present matter, the proviso of subsection 2 of Section 6 is not properly followed. Your Honor, the proviso states that provided that the preliminary report may not contain a detailed forensic report, but may restrict itself to the question of whether the key security features as specified in the third schedule to the Act have been imitated or compromised. Your Honor, it is stated that this particular section defines that there should be proper, even if there is no proper detailed forensic report, but in your matter, in your honor, as stated in the page number 2 of the CFSL report, there should at least have been the instance wherein why this particular counterfeit note that have been actually alleged to be hold on by from the accused are falling under Schedule 3. Your honor, Schedule 3 defines the instances wherein that defines the key security features that may have been violated by the notes that have been taken or that have been confirmed from the accused. But your honor, in the present matter, as stated in CFSL report, the words there have been stating that there is no presence of any reason whatsoever that why this particular note as is considered to be high quality counterfeit and what type of security features it causes to the integrity and sovereignty of country. Your honor, it is humbly submitted that moreover in the report opinion is stated as on a random examination. The notes examined appear to be of high quality. Your honor, it is humbly submitted before the honorable court that use of such naive terms cannot be admissible and conviction cannot be made on the basis of such evidence. Your honor, it is humbly submitted as this particular proviso is not completed and the procedure is faulted out because as in the particular matter, the CFSL report clearly do not demarcate under which key security features these notes fall under the ambit of high quality counterfeit currency note. Your honor, it is implored before the court that it creates a reasonable doubt, and the doubt is whether there could have been a possibility of any other instance that would have happened instead what has happened today. Your honor, it is humbly submitted before the honorable court that what these investigation, that the problems that the particular investigation have had create not only just unreasonable doubt, but your honor, it creates more than just reasonable doubt and create a question in ourselves that were there a possibility that any other thing could have happened. Your honor, it is humbly submitted before the honorable court that according to the seizure memo and personal search memo as stated in the moot compromise, a total of 3 mobile phones, 2 Aadhaar cards and 2 train tickets have been recovered from the said accused. But your honor, it is humbly submitted that the image that have been attached to the charge sheet, in this particular image, only a mobile phone, a single train ticket and a single Aadhaar card has been present. Your honor, this discrepancy is not a small in itself, but rather it proves and it goes beyond reasonable doubt that in this particular matter, there could have been an instance where hampering of data or hampering of any instance could have taken place. And hence there have been instances where the particular, the counsel will take a single minute or 2 minutes to wrap up the whole argument from the side of defense. Okay, but your honor, it is humbly implored before the honorable court that convictions cannot be made under section 16, 17, 18 and 20 of the Unlawful Activities Act because firstly, the proper procedure as enshrined under investigation of high counterfeit currency note have not been followed. Furthermore, the statements are inadmissible. And your honor, it is humbly submitted before the honorable court that the mention of terrorist organization that is Lashkar-e-Taiba as stated by Rupinder Singh in his statement has not been completely attested or has been backed by a legal document that proves that there was indeed a conspiracy going on. CDR report as stated by the counsel and I, the CDR report have no evidentiary value as firstly it is not produced as an evidence before the honorable court as under 65B and hence it is humbly submitted before the honorable court that the conviction should not be made. The counsel shall move forward.
Mr. Speaker, a few queries.
Yes, your honor.
You stated statements under the 61 CRPC are not inadmissible.
Yes, your honor.
Where is it stated? In the entire
Your honor, much obliged, your honor.
There are certain circumstances under which they are not admissible. Those circumstances do not relate to your case. You've been asked to think that the statements are inadmissible again and again.
Much obliged, your honor. Your honor, to answer the same, firstly, it is humbly submitted before the honorable court that incriminating statements that is made under these statements cannot be used as admission in the court of law. Furthermore, your honor, it is humbly submitted before the honorable court.
My specific query is you've been saying it is inadmissible.
Yes, your honor.
Please don't beat around the bush. Just answer my question. How is it inadmissible?
Your Honor, statement under 161 are used for certain discrepancies that would have been made between two instances of statements made. Your Honor, it is nowhere stated that these statements are to be used as a proper source of evidence. Furthermore, Your Honor, in the case of Deepak Bhai Jagdish Chandra versus State of Gujarat, it has been stated, and also if reliance can be placed upon Rajendra Singh versus State of Gujarat, Your Honor, in this particular.
Please read 145 and 154 of the evidence act. Okay. Now moving on to the next question. What are the 4 stages of an offense?
Pardon, Your Honor.
What are the 4 stages of an offense?
Your Honor, the 4 stages of offense is mens rea, actus rea, preparation and actual commission of crime.
Okay. Now there are 2 offenses, dacoity and waging war against state,
Yes, sir.
wherein all the 4 stages are punishable.
Indeed, Your Honor.
So even, yes, you concede to that?
No, Your Honor, the council will
You concede
humbly
to that?
submit.
These offenses which involve waging war against state, all 4 offenses, that is intention, preparation, attempt, and commission, all are punishable. So even if you have intention, it is punishable. Now, third,
Right.
you talked about mens rea, right? Now, mens rea is what? A state of mind?
Yes, in a general
It is a
sense,
state
yes.
of mind. There is no documentary proof to show the mens rea. So mens rea is built up with circumstances. And what are those circumstances? You being caught red-handed with fake currency notes.
Much obliged,
You
Your Honor.
traveling to Delhi without any cause. You being in contact with these fellow terrorists. So
Much
don't
obliged.
build up circumstances. Men lie, circumstances don't. You agree to that?
Much obliged, Your Honor. But Your Honor, and it is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court that conviction is not just that only based on circumstantial evidence, a single circumstantial evidence that was present. Your Honor, it is humbly submitted before the court. The circumstantial evidence should form a chain of evidence. Until only then only.
You get caught. You get caught. You name accomplices. The CDL is there.
Pardon, Your Honor.
Non-production of 65B certificate is a procedural error.
Much obliged, Your Honor.
So the entire evidence cannot be discarded at the first instance. Anyways, my learned colleague, he has
Yes. You have mentioned that in the arrest memo, wrong date was mentioned. It may be typing mistake.
typography error.
Arrest time of arrest as well as the date of arrest is there. That is the 25th of February. And because we have put the question from the prosecution, only you have put this query. And mens rea was there, it is proved that mens rea was there. You was jobless, you both, accused A1 and 2. And after providing the help by A3, he handed over the fake notes to you. And for that, for the purpose of commission, you have taken this note to Pulwama through Delhi, and you both caught at Delhi. Mens rea is complete.
Your
How you
Honor,
will deny that?
Your Honor, much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, it is humbly implored before the Honorable Court, as stated by the Council in itself, in their argument as well, that in the case of Noor Islam as well, that the prosecution failed to prove important ingredient of the offense, that the accused was knowing or had reasons to be. Furthermore, Your Honor, it is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court that even
I'm interfering, just a minute. Qua the question, qua the section 489B and C,
Yes, Your Honor.
whether the ingredients are there complete.
Your Honor,
Read out
as
the
from
section. Have you the IPC or not?
Your Honor, in this present matter, the basic required element, that is mens rea, has been contended again and again from the side of the defense, that is absent and cannot be corroborated by a single
Mr.
evidence
Counsel.
circumstance.
Please go with the contents of the section. Whoever sells to or buys or receives from your both clients, A1 and A2, both receives the fake notes. They have taken for the purpose of commission, and they have caught red-handed at Delhi. Will you deny the fact?
Your Honor, in the present matter, the present matter does not fall under the definition of this particular section. Your Honor, it is not a case of trafficking of note from one place to another or that possession of note. Your Honor, it is humbly implored before the court by the state or from the defense that there could have
At
been
the same
any
time,
number of possible.
you both were taking the position of these fake notes. Both C and B of 489 is applicable on you. Evidence is complete.
Your Honor, the fake notes do not fall under the ambit of 489B. But Your Honor, even if as stated by the contention that the CFSL report in itself is not admissible as there are various high quality discrepancy in the matter.
As per CDR, you both were at Madhya Pradesh. On receiving of the call from A3, you went to Malda, and from Malda you came to Delhi and arrested there. Is it not sufficient?
Your Honor, much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, as stated by the counsel, that the CDR report do not prove that particularly after this call only, that they went to Malda, carried forward these particular 10 lakh, that alleged 10 lakh rupee note, and went on to Delhi. Your Honor, the CDR report just proved that there was connection between Sameer and Monu, who are, yes, good friends, and that is that there was connection between Sameer and Kallu, who are accepted that they were in connection with each other. But it does not prove that Sohail, who has been stated as the conspirator in this matter, has been alleged to be a conspirator, were in constant touch, and that only on their command as well, that they went there and collected those notes. This CDR report are not admissible as evidence in this.
Train ticket of general class, is it not the sufficient to prove that you came from Malda?
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, even if we consider the train tickets in this particular matter, it was stated that there was 2 train tickets that was recovered from the side from both the accused in the first instance. But Your Honor, as stated by the counsel, that in the photograph that had been attested in the charge sheet, there is only presence of single train ticket. Your Honor, even if Your Honor, that there is faultiness.
Simply details are not given. A ticket number is there, and there is no need. Once a detail is given in one ticket, there is no need to mention the number was given, and there is no need to give the fact of other details, and it is there in charge sheet. It shall be personal search memo of both accused. It is given.
Your Honor, in the arrest in the personal search memo, it has been clearly, as you may see, check upon the page number 29, that in itself from Sameer 2 mobile phones were recovered, and from Monu 1 mobile phone recovered. Your Honor, a total of 3 mobile phones were recovered, but in that particular photo only 1 is shown. Your Honor, there can be various instances other substances that could have been hidden.
In his case, in charge sheet, he has mentioned that some pics were there. It does not mean whole pics should be there. With currency notes, he had taken photograph of 1 mobile phone, and all the other phones are there in the charge sheet.
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, even if there is then again the assumption part plays a very vital role. That if we just assume certain instances that would have happened, then there could have been no
assuming. It is the fact. Evidence is there that certain things were recovered from both of these persons.
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, even if we consider that personal search memo as a sort of an evidence, Your Honor, it is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court that it has not been attested by the Ravi Kumar, that is the independent witness in the matter, and it has been stated by both the counsels and implored before the Honorable Court that there has to be at least presence of that particular independent witness that could have attested that this instance would have happened in front of him. Your Honor, not a mere reliance cannot be placed upon this personal search memo and the charge sheet that there was indeed instances that could have happened. There should have been the presence of independent witness, that is in the case Ravi Kumar, that would have stated and come out and told the court, and also the fact that this particular witness is not a punch witness in the matter. So, Your Honor, complete reliance cannot be placed upon the personal search memo.
The team 521.
Court Master, just a single 20 seconds for completing the prayer, Your Honor. Just a single 20 seconds.
With the permission of honorable judges.
Please go ahead.
Much obliged, Your Honor. Your Honor, wherefore, in the lights of the facts stated, argument advanced, and authorities cited, it is most humbly prayed and implored before the Honorable Court of LD Special Judge, NIA, Patiala House Court, New Delhi, that it may graciously please to adjudge and declare and acquit the accused on the grounds that number one, the accused are not liable under section 120 capital B, 121, 123, and 201 of the Indian Penal Code. Secondly, the accused are not liable under section 489B and C for alleged counterfeiting and trafficking of notes. And thirdly, accused are not guilty for alleging organizing and or attempting terrorist activities under section 16, 17, 18, and 20 of the Act, and or pass any order that the Honorable Court may deem fit in interest of equity, justice, and good conscience. For this gracious act of kindness, the defense shall duly be bound forever. It was indeed a pleasure pleading before the Honorable Court. Much thank you all.
Team 521,
Thank you.
you only have 5 minutes for the rejoinder.
Rebuttal.
Rebuttal.
Your Honor, we don't want rebuttal.
Honorable judges have any question with either of the team, either 502 or 521?
Sorry to interrupt in between, but there's a problem with my connection of my co-counsel, and he would like to have rebuttals for the same. If it will allow a single minute, he will come and try to attest or try to implore those particular rebuttals. If it may please the court.
There are no rebuttals.
Okay, sir. Much obliged.
Opposing counsels have given up.
Much obliged, Your Honor.
I would just like to give a small suggestion to you. So the words which you use, inadmissible, right? You should have said there is not sufficient evidence. I think that would be, a better word to use rather than using words like inadmissible, because you still have to be very thorough with the evidence. I don't think one of the smallest acts which we read, but it's one of the most important acts.
Okay. Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your advice. Thank you so much, sir.
So, with the permission of honorable judges, can we wrap up the meeting?
Yes.
So, thank you so much.
It was an honor in front of the court.
Thank you so much, judges. Thank you so much for joining this meeting and being here as a judge. And good luck to the participants for their future competition, for the leftover competition.
Thank you.
So with this, we are wrapping up the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.